Welcome to Football with Cheese. Happy Thursday, everyone. As you can see, I am not home. I am visiting family. It's the perfect time to do it. Super Bowl's over. We got a few weeks before the Combine, and if you are not new to the channel, you know that March and April are the busiest time for Football with Cheese. We do a ton on the Combine, we do a ton on free agency, and of course the draft is our main focus. So a lot of content coming for you guys. So if you are new though, make sure you do subscribe and hit the bell for notification so you never miss one of my videos. I cover all 32 teams on this channel. So next week I have two videos coming, one offense, one defense, the most underrated player at every position. I will get that to you early next week, I promise. I've been teasing it for a while. It takes a lot more time and research. I might do more videos like this before we get into draft season. Let me know if you want me to do your team as well. But it's the top 5 biggest needs. We're going to start with the Green Bay Packers. That is my favorite team. And I'll also go over their free agents, who they could possibly sign, and what the cap situation is like. All right, so let's get into it. The biggest need for the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion, is cornerback. Now, it has not been a priority for Brian Gutekunst. One time since 2019 has he drafted a corner in the first 3 rounds. It was 2021. He took Eric Stokes from Georgia, and he was a total bust. He actually had a decent year for the Raiders this past year, out of nowhere. The Packers' priority has not been addressing the cornerback position. It's been more focused on the front 7, addressing that. We'll be strong up there, and cornerback is just not as important, as long as we have a good front 7. And it was a disaster last year after Micah Parsons got hurt. Sure, it's easy for just about any corner in the NFL to cover someone for 3 or 4 seconds, or easier. When you have to cover him 5, 6, 7 seconds, because Micah Parsons is injured and there's no pass rush, well, it was a disaster. Like Keyshawn Nixon, everyone's talking about what a great year he's having. Guaranteed Valentine also playing pretty well. Yeah, the first half of the year, when they're getting consistent pass rush, when they have Micah Parsons, when he got hurt, it was probably the worst cornerback room in the NFL. It's that bad. Keyshawn Nixon is probably best suited as number 3 corner. Guaranteed Valentine has no interest whatsoever in stopping the run. All he wants to do is cover. And it's a big problem. Nate Hobbs is a bust in free agency. Their best corner is probably Javon Bullard, who's really a safety playing in the slot. And that's just sad. So they really need a number 1 and a number 2. I almost put them 1, 2 on the list, but there's other positions I want to talk about. So yeah, corner is a big need. And if you look at the 2 teams in the Super Bowl, they both have really, really good cornerback rooms. And even Denver, who is 3 points away from making the Super Bowl, they have a great cornerback room. Yes, it's not the most important position on defense, but if you have an elite corner, it can change your defense. All right, up next, we have offensive line at number 2. The Packers, for years, just had really good offensive line play, especially pass blocking. Ted Thompson did such an amazing job his whole tenure drafting offensive linemen, especially on day 3. And Brian Gutekunst had some early success with that as well. They got Rasheed Walker, the left tackle, who was a 7th-round pick. The right tackle, Zach Tom, who's terrific, as a 4th-round pick. But the last 3 years, it's gone downhill. Yeah, Jordan Love has gotten better each year as a starter, but his offensive line play has gotten worse. They have to upgrade multiple positions on the offensive line. Once again, Zach Tom at right tackle is terrific. He's not elite. He's just very good at run blocking, very good at pass blocking. One of the better right tackles in the NFL. Rasheed Walker, left tackle, free agent. Sean Ryan, right guard / center, free agent. Left guard, Aaron Banks, was bad. Free agency bust. Elton Jenkins got hurt. He was the center this past year. Probably needs to go back to left guard. He could be a cap casualty or be traded because he's got such a big cap number, and the cap situation isn't great. Let's just address that right now. While it's not great, I can make a short video breaking it down if you want. Let me know in the comments if you do. But they have ways to get under the cap to sign a couple free agents. They could extend Jordan Love. They could extend Micah Parsons or just push money back. They could release Aaron Banks. If you cut him or trade him, it only saves $4.5 million and the $20 million cap hit. But if you cut him as a June 1st cut, which means you split the money between the next 2 years, you would save $18 million in cap room this year, which would be huge. Yes, it would hurt the cap in 2027, but they're in really good shape going forward with the cap in future years, so they can afford to do that. Rashawn Gary, almost assuredly to be cut or traded. They would save $11 million cutting him. I think $19 million on June 1st. Let me just make sure. Yes, 19 and a half. So they have ways to get way under the cap. Now, Elton Jenkins, longtime left guard. He's played left tackle. He's played right tackle. But left guard's his best position. Played center this past year. Just wasn't as good. And he has had trouble staying healthy. You can save $19.5 million by cutting him. By the way, this is from overthecap.com, which is fairly accurate. They're not 100% on every contract, but very, very close to accurate. I would try to restructure or extend Elton Jenkins and keep him because of that versatility. If someone gets hurt at left tackle, someone gets hurt at right tackle, pretty much all 5 positions but right guard he's played, he can fill in. And it's just Elton Jenkins, man. He's a fan favorite. He's been there for a long time. I love the dude. So I would keep him and get rid of Aaron Banks. Obviously, you have to lower the cap number and go after a center in the draft. It's a pretty good interior offensive line draft. It's okay at offensive tackle. I'll go over which positions are stronger as we get closer to the draft, probably after the combine. But that's what I do. But they have to get a center. They really screwed up 5 years ago when they didn't draft Creed Humphrey and took Josh Myers instead. I've talked about that in other videos. Okay, number 3, nose tackle. With Jonathan Gannon's defense, it's a little more susceptible to the run, in my opinion, from Jeff Hafley's. So you have to get a true nose tackle. The running game in the NFL has come back a lot the last 2 years, and the Super Bowl MVP was a running back. So the running game is more important. Jordan Riley, Nazir Stackhouse, Jonathan Ford are their current nose tackles on the roster. That's not good enough. None of them should be starting. You can argue they all should be on a practice squad. That's the talent level they have. So getting a nose tackle is very important. And it's a pretty good nose tackle draft. The last 2 seasons, it was really bad. There was hardly any nose tackles whatsoever. I think 2 years ago, almost every defensive tackle was between 290 and 305 pounds, which means you can't play nose tackle. It sucks that they don't have a first-round pick. Of course, it's great they have Micah Parsons, but they have to get 2 of these 3 positions with their second and third round pick, and that's nose tackle, center, and cornerback. Number 4, special teams. I've talked about this many times. Rich Bisaccia is a terrible special teams coach. He's 65. They need to fire him. He needs to retire, whatever. They need an upgrade at coaching. But I will defend him here. They don't have a great return man. Keyshawn Nixon decided that he just didn't want to return anymore now that he's a full-time corner. Just trade Keyshawn Nixon or cut him. Saves $5 million. If he's not going to return, his value sucks because he's not a very good corner. He didn't give effort in the Bears game at the goal line. He didn't want to try to hit the running back or pop the ball out. He just stood there and let him score a touchdown. He gets personal foul penalties. He's just not a Packer guy. Trade him to the Chiefs. He fits better there. But they need a returner, kick returner and punt returner. One of the issues that they've had with that is Brian Gutekunst loves big corners, and Matt LaFleur loves big receivers that can block. And most return men are undersized corners and undersized wide receivers. So they just need to say, okay, our number 5 corner or number 6 wide receiver is just going to be an undersized guy that can't block or can't be physical at the line of scrimmage if they're a corner. It's just the way it's got to be. They've got to get a really good return man, and there's some good ones in this draft. Number 5. I'm going to combine 2 positions. I'm going to cheat a little. Off-ball linebacker, because Quay Walker's a free agent. They can move Isaiah McDuffie into middle linebacker. When Quay Walker was hurt, he played there twice. One game he played very well. The other game, not so good. It is a risk, but he has much better instincts. I think he's much better in the running game than Quay Walker. What he doesn't have is speed. Quay Walker's speed is his strength. He can fly to the ball and make plays. But his instincts are terrible. His coverage technique is terrible. He's just not a very good player. So I do think it is an upgrade with McDuffie. And because you have Edgerrin Cooper and his speed, it won't hurt as much if McDuffie plays middle linebacker. But if you don't trust him, or Tyron Hopper, please do not make him the starting middle linebacker. If you don't trust them, they can draft an off-ball linebacker. And it's a good, maybe not great, but a good off-ball linebacker draft. And then edge rusher / linebacker, I got to mention that as well. Kingsley Enagbare is a free agent. There's no way Rashawn Gary can be on this team next year. His effort this year was terrible. When Micah Parsons got hurt, he did not step it up at all. And even when Micah Parsons was healthy, he wasn't getting much pressure. makes no sense because he wasn't getting double teamed at all. So I think someone will pay Kingsley Enagbari because it's a very weak pass rusher free agency. So you have Lucas Van Ness, you have Barron Sorrell, you have Colin Oliver, Brenton Cox Jr. So that's your edge rushers besides Parsons. And like I said, he might not be ready till October, maybe even November. So they will have to get someone in there, at least maybe a bigger edge that can play on early downs. Because Brenton Cox Jr., Colin Oliver, they're undersized. They're more designated pass rushers. They're not early down guys. All right, let me know in the comments. Would you have cornerback number one, or is it center? Is it nose tackle? Is there a position I did not mention? If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Really helps at the channel. Once again, I can do salary cap breakdowns for every team. I can share the screen with the overthecap.com. I can do top 5 for any teams. I can maybe do each division and try to talk about 2 minutes for each one. I'd love to hear some ideas for the next 2 weeks before we get to the combine of videos you'd like to see. Share this with anyone who loves football. I cover all 32 teams on this channel, like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to link the best player at every position. I made 2 videos, one offense, one defense. I'm going to link in the description. Watch offense first, then defense. And at the end of the defensive one, I break down what teams had the most players. It's very interesting, so make sure you do check that out. Also, Lights Out Podcast, me and Mike, we do it every Tuesday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We talk baseball, college football, and of course, NFL. Link also in the description. Check this video out if you have not, about the 2 most disappointing teams in my opinion, and I'll see you in the next video.